Hello, all you amazing wine folks. I wanted to give you a quick run over of your final exam. So I'm going to do it start to finish in real time. I won't do any pauses this time so you can see that you can do it within the allotted amount of time. So before you even start the exam, we'll give you a couple minutes to come in and get set up. So in this particular instance, we've already set up our titration stations. So we've got our 0.01 molar and 0.1 molar set up. And then we have everything laid out on the bench. So we'll give you a couple minutes to make sure that everything's laid out and you're feeling nice and comfortable with everything. So the first thing that we're going to do when we start our exam is we think about what's going to take the longest time. So without further ado, we set up our sulfur dioxide analysis immediately. We don't waste any time because this is what dictates your kind of start and finish time. So we're going to get that on. We're going to get our SO2 indicator in there real quick. And then we're going to get our wine sample nice and prepared. And you'll have a bottle of wine like this just laid out. So right off the bat, we want to go ahead and get this started because this is what dictates our entire time. All right, free sulfur dioxide is off. So now we've got a little bit of breathing room. This away, keep our station clean. So that's off and going. So let's get our next thing going and get our blank going for our volatile acidity. So we'll have our two containers, get our water going. Little phenolphthalein. And we're going to titrate back to that palest pink. Get our condenser running. All right. Sure our valves are closed the right way. All right. Well, that's our first 3 minutes, and we're well off to the races, and we got plenty of time still to go. So we can decide what we want to do next while we're waiting. Do we just let our VA go, or should we go ahead and start working on some of our other things? So I'm going to go ahead and maybe I'll just move on to ethanol content, because we'll need to get our boiling point. So let's get our water going there. So generally I like to think of the things that are going to take the longest. So whenever I've got something that needs to heat up or whatever, I like to make sure that we get that going as quick as possible. So again, we add our water to this up to the shoulder and get this started off. Cool. So now we're 5 whole minutes in, and we've still got plenty of breathing room. So maybe we can go ahead and start our titratable acidity if we so desire. I could adjust this still, it's a little crooked. There we go. May as well get that going. And I've already calibrated our pH meters. We should have them calibrated before. If you want to calibrate them when you come in, you can by all means. So let's go ahead and start out by doing our titratable or pH, because this is a pretty quick analysis. Everything's all over the place. Go in here and give this a little try. Give it plenty of time to settle in. Looks like a pH of 3.76. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. That will rinse out. And we'll get set up for our TA. So a little bit of water. Here, I'm going to go ahead and put these buffers away, get them out of our hair. And get our 10 mil volumetric pipette out. Notice how our VA is still starting to boil, so we are in a good spot. So one thing that I like to do while I've got my 10 mil pipette out, we can go ahead and get ready to do a couple of things. Number one, multitask. It's your strong point. 10 mils of wine going in here to do your titratable acidity. And while we've got it out, we might as well load up our VA still. Too. All right. Okay, we got our blank on. So we got our boiling here with our. Looks like we're holding at 99.3 degrees today. So we'll get out our Jardin Celeron. 99.3. All right, blow that out. Grab our little flask holder. Do our little wine rinse. There's not a bad plan. Maybe. Keep going there. Take a little look at our timer and see how we're doing. So we're coming up on our 10 minutes for our free sulfur. One quick thing to make note on, if you run your sulfurs too long, it's not really a problem. That's okay to do. It's if you run them too short that you might have some type of an issue. Find me a little peroxide here. There we go. Drop peroxide up here. All this is boiling off. All right. So free sulfur is just about there. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for that. Our blank is getting pretty close to being full on our VA. And then we've got our titratable acidity already all set up. So probably just hold off for a second and let things go. Get to that TA at the end, always quick and easy to do. So might as well write our pH down while we're at, so 3.76. Yeah, we can go ahead and do a TA real quick. All right, we're going to do our starting titer, so we're going to write that down real quick. So our TA is just doing a little note that we're starting at 4 mils. We're going to go ahead and run that out real fast. Not everything else is looking good. Perfect. 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 8.20 on the nose. That's at 12.5. Equals 8.5 mLs times 0.6 is 0.75. Sorry. Oops. We'll do the math here in a second. Just write that. Perfect. Our TA is done. That written down. Go ahead, empty that out, and rinse it off. We're going to move on to our salt, because we got a little bit more to do here on that VA. Now realize you can do all these sequentially and get done with plenty of time to spare. You've got a full hour, so there's no real race to get this done. I'm just showing that you can do it in 30 minutes pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and empty this out because I'm a little bit full. 0.1 more. We got to be exactly on for that one. So go ahead and turn off our aspiration pump. Grab this guy. Get all that liquid off. Do a real quick titration. So there we go. right on. Spot on at 2 mils. 32 parts per million, so we want to get that started again as quick as possible. Ooh, that is a long wick. That's going to get hot. Careful with this one not to get too hot. All right, take a look over at our wine here, which is boiling along pretty perfectly. Holding at 89.4, 89.5, between 89.4 and 89.5. All right, so we've got our ethanol done. So take a look at here. So 89.4 and 89.5 is right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right at, today it looks like it's about 15% alcohol on the nose. So our ethanol is 15%. Looks like our blank is just wrapping up here. So yeah, our blank is done. So let's go ahead and turn off our VA still. Get our blank over here and get that ready to titrate. All right. Get a little water bottle here and make sure that we're ready to go into get it rinsed in real nice. Get a little extra water in there. Our flask under here and get this fired up. All right, now our VA is ready to go. So we've got our blank ready. We've got our free sulfur done. Got our bound going. This wick is a little long. I don't like that a whole lot. This is a bit hot for me, so I'm going to go ahead and switch out these burners. This other burner's just not quite as ridiculously long. I just think that's going to be too, afraid of it getting too hot and overclocking, so I'm going to figure out how to get that back in. Do that when we're all finished up. You want heat, but you don't want too much heat. Rinse out our boiling flask. Kind of clean up while you go too, that's always nice, helpful. All right, so we've got TA done. So let's go ahead and calculate our TA, because we had 8.5 mils times 0.7. 6.375 or 6.38, or we could be real easy and just say a TA of 6.4 grams per liter is our acid. All right, here we go. So hanging out, getting ready for the total sulfur to get done, because that's really the thing that dictates our time. So we're real easily going on here. We're only 20 minutes into the exam. But again, let me remind you of a few things while we're waiting for everything to get caught up. Number one, your grade isn't strictly based on how fast you do it. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter if you do it faster or slower. You don't get any extra credit for doing things rapidly. It's all about accuracy, so make sure to take your time to do it right. The other things that we're going to make sure that you're doing properly is that you've got proper protective equipment on, so you're going to get graded on whether or not you remember to put on your gloves and your safety goggles. In my case, I'm doing a face shield so you can hear me better while we're doing this demonstration. And then the other thing we're going to do is make sure that you clean up your space properly. So it's not always just about just getting the accuracy, or doing it fast doesn't make any difference at all. So really make sure to take your time and do it right. make sure to keep your station clean, because all of those things do matter. Free SO2 is 2 mils, so it's 32 milligrams per liter. Calculate our bound next. While we're waiting, we can go ahead and titrate out our blank here. So we're going to start, I'm going to go ahead and take this down a little bit. I like to start at even numbers if it's at all possible, just to make my life real easy. No rules against that, it's just how I like to do things. We do decimals, but I just like to make things easy as possible. Already getting pretty close. I might do just one more drop just to make me feel good. Nice pale pink. Exactly 1 mil. So our blank is 1 mil. We'll calculate that down. Blank. 1.0. Make a note of that. Get that out. Give her a rinse. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Might as well refill the water bottle while we're waiting. All taken care of. Right, these wicks are a little long, it's getting hot. So one of the things you always like to do when you're doing your total sulfurs is keep an eye on your still. If it was starting to kick up, wanting to boil more than the unit could aspirate past, and sometimes you get hot acid coming out the top, so we don't want to do that. We want to just keep it just hot enough. So one of the things to kind of monitor is just keeping that flame at the right distance. These are pretty warm candles. That's good. That means you're getting all those acid aldehyde pyruvate bonds broken, any of those bonds that are holding on, phenolic bonds, whatever it is, those complexes that are holding on to that total SO2, they're all getting broken with that heat. So getting it hot is good. You got to make sure you got it plenty hot, because you won't get a total sulfur if it doesn't get warm enough. So making sure you've got plenty of heat in there is a good thing. And if you're curious what I'm using for a timer, is I'm watching my timer on my phone, which is recording right now for my timestamps. But again, with sulfurs, you can't really run them too long, so I kind of tend to, marginally, ballpark as long as it's getting heat for 10 minutes, or it's or if it's just a free, it's just running for at least 10 minutes. You've got it. If it runs for 11 or 12, that doesn't hurt anything. So I generally, like to air too long, if anything, because you won't get any extra off. All right, looks like we're going to have kind of two things happen at once, which is going to work out beautifully. Looks like we're coming up on our timestamp for heating, so I'm going to go ahead and pull off the heat now, because that's been on for long enough to heat it enough to break all those bonds. I'm going to set that aside and let that continue to aspirate. And it looks like we're kind of wrapped up here with our VA. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our VA still. I'm going to go ahead and evacuate that chamber. Go ahead and give it a nice little rinse out too, just to make sure we've got plenty of nice clean setup for the next person that comes in. I like to pull it up just a little bit. The other way and go ahead and top this up for the next person. All right, check out the VA here. So just go ahead and trim these all upright so that these are set up for the next person just right, so they get what they want out of it. We're going to come over here and do our VA, and we're going to take a look at that starting right at 3 mils. Perfect. 211. So we're right to that kind of pale pink. We're holding for 30 seconds, looking for that persistence. Kind of fading out a little bit. I don't know. I put a couple more drops in just for fun. Pale pink, looking for persistence. Fade down a little bit. I think that's going to hold. Yep. So 12 mils is where we're at. Start at 3, so that's 9 mils. Minus our blank, which is 8. 8 mils times 0.06, which means our VA is 0.48 grams per liter. Okay, get that dumped out. All right, total SO2, we look for our bound right now. So our bound, we're going to start at that 12 mils that I just talked about. We're going to go from there. Oh, almost olive. Cool, one more drop. Still a little bit on the not quite so bright green side. One more drop. Right into that olive green. Perfect. Man, we're having a good day today on vegetables. right at 15 mils. So that means our bound sulfur is 3 mils times 16, it's 48 is our bound, which means we have to add that to our free to get our total. It means our total SO2 is 80 milligrams per liter. So the way I do it is free, then I do my bound, and I add them together to get my total. So if we're finishing up this exam, again, I'm always going to be backwards, but it's just the way it is. pH of 3.76, no units. Our TA is 6.4 grams per liter. Our free sulfur is 32 milligrams per liter. Our total sulfur dioxide is 80 milligrams per liter. Our volatile acidity is 0.48 grams per liter, and ethanol is 15% alcohol by volume. I'll go look up and see if I have a recent lab for this, or I'll send it in to see how we did. And that's it. And so looking at right now, even with a little intro, right at 31 minutes and 50 seconds, I got enough time to do the whole thing over again. So that's it. Make sure that your station's really cleaned up at the end. And well, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have everything looking right so that we don't have any surprises for the next group that comes in. So we want to make sure that we get a nice rinse out here. I do like to put the pear-shaped wax back on. I know there's different people feel that way, but I do like to make sure that the wine flasks don't get mixed up. So everything's back together, dumped out, and then we got to refill our water container for the next group. Make sure that they are completely taken care of. Because you want to come in and have a nice clean station to start with. That there, got our Erlenmeyer flask here. Go ahead and empty out our burettes. Maybe give them a quick rinse just to be super kind. And granted, if you're up against the wall and you got 60, you're right at 60 minutes, cleanup time isn't going to go against you. So don't freak out about that. All right. Put away all our stuff. Nice clean bench top for the next person. There you go. Hope this helps you out, and feel free to shoot me any questions. Cheers.